Greetings. R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 267, and this is Friday Recap. Well, on Monday, we talked about Vietnam challenging Beijing, China's grip on one of the world's most important maritime thoroughfares. As of March, Vietnam had built more than 2,200 acres of artificial land in the South China Sea, compared with just under 4,000 acres constructed by China. Vietnam began reclaiming land on a large scale in 2021 when huge dredging barges appeared near several reefs and rocks in the Spratlys. The Vietnamese government hasn't publicly addressed its artificial island building, although officials have said that the country is focused on protecting its sovereignty in the South China Sea. Spokespeople for the Vietnamese and Chinese foreign ministries didn't respond to requests for comment. My opinion was that this is an interesting development. It highlights past U.S. weakness in opposing these island building things only in diplomatic terms. In other words, the United States and perhaps others would say, "Oh, we wish you wouldn't do that," and there was no force, no authority, no counter to this whole thing. We just protested and let them build. Result is that now China has a lot of fortresses. That's what they really are, the fortress islands, if you will. And if there ever comes a war, we'll have to deal with that. Now Vietnam is doing the same thing. Now they're not the military threat that China is. Still, it can actually spark problems between the two countries and spill over into a wider range. I still remember the incursions against the Philippines years back. They didn't invade the island so much as China has, and still to this day, as far as I know, will impede the Philippines' ability to provision actually, the forces that they have on different islands that are literally not rebuilt or reclaimed land. They are actually part of the Philippines, but China wants to claim that area as their own. On the other hand, Vietnam does have the right to protect its interests and people, but they're simply too small to make an impact. On Tuesday, we talked about we had elections. We didn't talk about it; we had them. Here in Florida, they were scattered around, and where I live, which is in Charlotte County, there was only one place where there was any election. That's in the only city in the county, and that's Punta Gorda. So that didn't really have a wide range, but it may have very big implications for the city. However, I did talk about 5 critical races. New Jersey, the governorship was at stake. Virginia, governorship was at stake. New York City, there was a 3-way race consisting of a Democrat, an independent, and a Republican to be mayor. California had their Proposition 50. And in Pennsylvania, they had the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which is currently 5-2 in favor of the Democrats. My opinion at that time was that these are all elections that will have some impact, but to define them in terms of the midterm elections next year are, in my opinion, too soon. There's a lot of time left yet. So on Wednesday, we looked back at those 5 races, and in New Jersey and Virginia and New York City, the Democrats won. And California, they won. And in Pennsylvania, they won. I summed it up. I had a little bit longer than this, but it sums it up. There was no surprises here, folks. They were supposed to win. These were Democratic strongholds. If you thought that there was uh, a real chance Republicans might make a breakthrough or somewhere, well, good for you. But there really wasn't that big of a hope. On Thursday, we had our Bible talk, and we talked about the church. And we looked at Matthew 16:18, where Jesus said to Peter, I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. A lot of controversy here that should not even be. When he mentioned Peter by name, he used the Greek word Petros, which means a little rock or stone. When he talked about building upon a rock, that was Petra or Petra, however you want to pronounce it, which is a massive rock or a cliff. That one is referring to Christ. There is no real controversy here, folks. People are focusing on the wrong things, minimizing the differences. There is a big difference between a little bitty pebble or a rock or stone than a bigger rock. He was responding to something that Peter himself said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." So either it's Jesus Christ, and it's just flat out Jesus Christ, or it is the gospel of Christ that identifies Christ as the Son of the living God and therefore the living stone. Either way, it's Jesus Christ. However you want them, there's probably other ways you can say it as well. But Jesus Christ is the foundation stone, or as the New Old Testament calls it in Isaiah 28:16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. And Peter, he quoted, I'm not going to re-quote it here, but in 1 Peter 2:6 and 7, he quoted that verse. Actually, he quoted both verses. But what here is that Peter himself thought of it, understood it to refer to Jesus Christ, not to him. And so that should settle that. Won't. No, people they get in their mind something and they're going to stick with it. That's it for this week. It's been an interesting week, been an exciting week at times. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. But meantime, remember, I always try to inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. Hopefully, I've done that this week. I try to do that with every, excuse me, there. I try to do that with every episode that I do. Now, just have, like I said, you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.